the way I met you was in November or probably October. I rented out a movie theater, and then I had you DJ for that movie theater.
Right.
So how it went about was I showed a bunch of film, music videos, songs that were going to be released or for older projects, and then I reached out to you. I think it was just organically. I don't really know how I reached out to
It
you.
was on Facebook, I think. I think you ever met me. Yeah, I think you might have met me at past shows.
No, I don't think I've ever really. I probably seen you through passing, but I've never actually officially like we had an introduction.
Right.
Because it's weird because going to like the Danny Brown show or the Alex Wiley show.
That show was pretty cool too. Danny Brown was dope.
You see me through the mic.
Yeah, he did throw the mic because
That
they
was
kept messing up the sound. Like the sound wasn't good to him.
even people that I know now were there, and you were there. You were DJing for people, or like the Danny Brown show. We both technically performed on that show, and I didn't know who you were, and you didn't know who I was. So it's like we were just names on the roster. And then years later, I pretty much commissioned you to do the show, and then people really liked how you.
Which was dope.
It was really wild.
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of were taken back by that. And then I think obviously March was when you had the Bada Brew show.
Yes.
And then you reached out to me. I was pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I was excited about that too. That was my first show where ever actually like curated on my own. I booked it on my own. It was one of those like moments where I was like, I'm just gonna try it out. You know what I mean? See what happens. And it was more so like a testing moment. Like I knew a lot of people supported me as a DJ, but I never knew if like they really supported to come out something that would put together. So it was more of like a testing to see like, do I really have people that support me, or is it just like just because they know I'm a DJ and they think I'm cool?
But when was the first annual bash?
The first annual bash was in 20. Well, if we just did the third one, it was in 2017. It was that same year because I did that March show. That was in March of 2017.
And then you just had it that summer.
Yeah, I had it that.
Was
summer.
that like a random?
Yeah, it was. It was just supposed to be like a reggaeton party, and I didn't even mean to do it at the Forge, but the Forge had just opened up again, and it was at the time it was the same owners of the Battle Brew, and they were like, "Hey, we just bought the Forge, we renovated it, we like what you did with your show, we want you to have your next event here," and then I was like, "Cool," and then I did
The Red Room.
no, I didn't even do the Red Room. I did the summer jump off with Hoop Dreams. That was what I did first, and that was just a DJ party. Me and Hoop Dreams is dope. That's one of my favorite Chicago DJs, and that was also a time of him coming off of the Jew Craze series, and so he had me DJ on one of those, and then we just had a good relationship built from there, and then we were just like, we want to do something for the summer. He had just finished off doing a tour with Dreezy, and was just, was like, let's do something. And then so since I had that opportunity, I did that with him. And then I also had like another EDM DJ, so it was like a mixture. It was like an EDM DJ. Who Dreams came in with the hip hop. I did like a hip hop reggaeton set, and then from there, I was just like, no one was really doing reggaeton parties either. Reggaeton parties were still like a house party thing. Like no one had really took it to a venue, at least around here.
And it was like it wasn't like a full night of it.
No, it would just be like here on. Also at the time too, I mean, reggaeton has been like killing it the past, or just the whole Latin music scene has been killing it the past like 4 years. But like in 2017, like the music still wasn't that hot as it is now. Like the music scene now is like definitely exploding. There's so much a bigger catalog of just hits, but no one had made like a whole night out of it. And so like that was my time to like, I just wanted to do it because I love mixing reggaeton. Like it's just a different vibe than from everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I even when you first did the original one, that's when it came about where it was in the Red Room or Sapphire Room, whatever it was at that time.
So it was in the Sapphire Room, but it got moved to the main room. It was the only reason why it was in the smaller room was because there was a book that was or there was a show that was already happening, and once it was done, it was like, hey, you can move your whole party to the main room, and that's when like I had to move it to the main room anyways. If it would have stayed in the red
packed.
room, it was packed out.
Did you think it was gonna be that big?
No, not at all. I thought it was gonna be at most like 150 people, but it was already at like 150 people within like the first hour. Like it was crazy.
And then that was you had Dewey on that one too,
I had Dewey on that one.
because
Yeah.
I remember it was up there. You had the catering, you had the rice,
I made the rice for my mom. Yeah.
yeah, and then the mechanical bull came downstairs.
Yep.
I remember that because I was even asking you if you wanted. I didn't know you. I really didn't know you at that time too much,
Yeah.
just off of those two interactions for the two shows. And I was like, "Do you need help?" And I just seen you running back and forth, like how. And then from there, what was the next
I mean,
thing? 'Cause I don't.
2018, beginning of it, that's when we just started building more of a like a cool friendship. I think you would like send me music here or there, or like just like send me like kind of words of encouragement, like, "Hey, bro, I see you're doing things," which was really cool, and I appreciated that a lot.
Yeah,
Um, I can't even think about what the next big thing I did.
I just kept talking to you at the gym.
Yeah, we just kept talking. I mean, I that was the same year too. I did the so right after that, I did the Waka show, and that was that winter.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah,
That was wild.
yeah,
That was a wild show. And then from there, so how the Radio Rejects thing came to part, or came kind of together. I originally was going to do it with Dewey, and then we just shared like the same time, like of hectic schedules and all that kind of stuff. So we weren't really able to fully commit to it, and we kind of just seen little differences in that sense. So I kind of was left with like no place anymore to record it. And I didn't have any sound experience myself to set it all up, and I needed like a DJ sound guy. And then I reached out and I said, I think it was also too, I was like, I would like to do like I still want to continue my podcast. I just don't know who would want to really do it. And you were like, yo, like I would love to do it.
yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I kind of drifted away. And then eventually I like let it marinate, and I was like, okay, do you want to kind of come on board with this and we can try to do this together? And then from that point, I think we found the place in Chicago,
Yep.
Circus, which that was a whole ordeal too as well.
Yeah.
I think with Radio Rejects, we had like 3 or 4 in the midst of Radio Rejects. We had 3 or 4 places that just kind of fell through. Like
Yeah.
our locations, it was more of like we just have to be mobile, because our locations, one just ghosted, one got outbid pretty much. It
Yeah.
got outpriced. And then a lot of other stuff was just on location. And then eventually we were just like, okay, I think with your success of the events, and you were saying, okay, just come on board and help me with the events in the midst of us trying to build up, funding to support the podcast.
Right.
Let's do that. And then we found a lot of success. I think with the tribute nights, we did Frank Ocean first in a soccer field,
It's crazy.
big ass soccer field. And then, I was that. I don't think the Travis Scott was Travis Scott, or was it the Mac Miller one? I think it went Frank Ocean, Mac Miller, Travis Scott.
Yeah. So when Frank, yeah.
And I
Mac
think with the
Miller, Travis
Mac
Scott.
Miller one, that's the one where we're like, I think we got something. Because it was just like this huge things. Anybody that went to the Mac Miller one that was Emporium, it caught wildfire. It was an hour to get inside. It was mayhem inside.
Yeah.
You could not, like, originally I had so many intentions of like interacting with each individual person, and it would take me so long to get from one side of the room to the other side of the room.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But I think we learned a lot from those tributes, because the fact that we originally were like, let's have artists perform.
Right.
And then we realized, like, with Restless Crowds, they didn't want to see artists. They want to just hear specifically the music that is related to the artist that they came to see the tribute. Like,
Yeah, because they feel like they're being like wrongfully like misadvertised.
Yeah.
Mispromotion.
So the Mac Miller, we had artists perform, and then the Kid Cudi one, which went really well.
Right.
We had like one Queen Mars do like a cover.
Yes.
And then we started to realize, okay, well, for the tributes, let's just have just the music,
Yeah.
and we'll just go from that.
Music
and
or covers. Yeah.
music or covers, but it has to be,
Strictly that.
strictly that. It has to be music for it. It can't be like your own interpretation of something else.
Yeah.
And then La Bomba came to place, which La Bomba was just like a random thing in the midst of a lot of like reggaeton nights, we're like, okay, let's try to recreate. You came to me and said like, let's just try to. I want to make my own night.
Yeah, because my whole ideology of behind that was like, if every year, if I'm gonna turn the reggaeton bash into an annual thing, at least with something like La Bomba, I can make my own weekly series like of the reggaeton bash a bit. You know what I mean? To where it's just like, if this one great thing is so big, I could have like smaller ones as a build up and just keep that same energy, and then kind of build the audience for it, let people know what I'm up to, and like, oh, like now he's throwing this really bigger event, which is what we did with Nina Sky.
And I think because of the Bomba, there was like the whole every weekend with the full intention of having it so that any other events that we had, we were able to interact with the crowd and kind of like transition them smoothly into those events.
Right.
Especially doing it in our own city. That was the biggest thing was like, we want to do it in our own city and then be able to kind of move it other places too as well.
Right.
So I think from La Bamba and then obviously that whole year led us up to we want to get a big artist, we want to get a bigger artist, we want to get a bigger artist. And then eventually it was just kind of like, all right, what about Nina Sky? And it was like, I don't think we can be able to do that. Like let's just try to, wait a little bit longer, blah blah blah.
And this, I mean, just to give anyone who's listening, this was like back in, I think we were shooting these ideas in like February.
Yeah, no, this was the Nina Sky was the most wild experience because they came in on Friday and we got their information to fly them out on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we didn't even know if they were really gonna fully commit to showing up. It was a lot of like
In the air.
in the
I
air
think they're gonna show up.
yeah. So we promoted it. It was like one of those things where I was walking in the store and you're like, I really want people to know. And I was like, all right, just drop the flyer and we'll see what happens. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna just hope that it runs that through there. So Wednesday night we booked everything, and then still we're trying to figure out if they're gonna come. And then sure enough, like until they got into the truck and we were driving from, personally us driving them from Chicago to Joliet, then we knew okay they're gonna perform.
Yeah.
And then we knew well, okay we got them. But that was like a crazy thing because it was months prior of reaching out, trying to figure out something, negotiating, trying to figure out where we're going to put it. Should we do it here? Should we try to do it somewhere else? All these things that factored into place and almost kind of like putting it on the back burner some months and focusing on other events.
Yeah.
And then eventually it just kind of came together.
That was a learning process too in its own, because it's pretty cliche. It's when people think of like, well, if this is like your biggest thing, you should keep your focus on it. I think that was a learning lesson that we had too, of like we were focused on such of these little, not saying little as to put them down, but side events that we had going on that we lost focus of the major one, which was the reggaeton bash. You know what I mean? To where it was like, oh, it's coming up and we still don't know. And then that, I think that applied so much more pressure and like stress versus of like if we would have took the time to keep our focus. I think that was a learning, growing pain in its own.
Yeah. And I think we've learned that from other events too, like the Paleta Fest was a thing too as well,
Yeah.
where we like the same thing with the tribute nights, like putting certain artists, figuring it out the right way, putting it up with that one too as well. Like we had another event that we totally completely just didn't really put a lot of promotion behind, the Paleta Fest, and it was a decent turnout, but we kind of like, even to ourselves, we're like, okay, we overwhelmed ourselves
Yeah.
with just us being the main core of like how to figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that puts us where we are at now, where it's like we figured out a good rhythm with the tribute nights. Well, we have some coming up even still in the works. We have La Bomba where we dialed it down from every week to a monthly first Thursday, and still even in the process of like, should we move it to a Friday? Should we move it to a Saturday? Whatever it may be, because it, once again, when your core is so small, you don't want to over fatigue, what you have going on, so that
Right.
you're kind of like you're not even having fun anymore.
Yeah, it just turns into another job.
Yeah.
Which DJing kind of is my life, my job in a way. But these shows and these tribute nights should be my outlet from my regular club spots that I show up to and pay my bills with. Like, these are more so my outlets when I have them. So I feel like when we're like overextending ourselves a bit, it became more work than fun. When I think even on the nights that we had like the Mac Miller night or after the whole Nina Sky event, when things were going smooth and they were performing, that was like the only time we got to like chill and just like take it all in. But there's like a fine line of where you fall into a flow of like, this is fun, even though you're working and even though there's still a lot of stress. When you're not like pressuring yourself so much, there should always be just like a flow of things. And I think when we were doing so much things, it was kind of like just crazy. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, because even with the Nina Sky thing, I was like kind of always driving them wherever they needed to like be. I took them to
And I'm
Marshalls.
texting you like,
I'm like, well, the bottle service, like, what are we gonna do? And I was like, I'll be there in a minute.
yeah.
And then even towards the end of the night, when I finally dropped them off to the hotel, like on that little, because the Forge and the Harris Hotel was where they stayed. It was a block, if that, away. So I got them into the truck and drove. And that short period of time, they're like, yeah, you seem like a lot. You seem like way more like relaxed. And I was like, yeah. It's like, yeah, but you did like you guys like killed it. And I was like, yeah, we did kill it. We did kill it. But the whole time leading up to that point, I was like, so you guys having fun? Like, are you guys doing good? You guys need me? Yeah, they wanted to go to Marshalls. They wanted to go to Burlington Coat Factory. They said they met someone in Burlington Coat Factory that was going to the show. And the whole time, it was a very surreal, crazy experience because I am like in the same car driving through the city that I grew up in. Like you even said it too. Like we're driving. Like is our city even cool? Like like I hope they like it. You know. Yeah. So and then finally when we get to the actual venue and they're happy. I mean, even that there was a lot of people can learn from just having one event. The screen, you know, didn't come at the right time, or you know, it was a little bit later, or you know, whatever it may be, and it worked out fine.
Yeah.
But it was like things that we may have overreacted on, or it didn't go and you just have to adjust. You just have to be able to be going into everything as prepared as possible.
That everything's gonna fail.
Yeah.
No way.
And how to fix that. Like a lot of times with La Bomba, lights won't work. So it's just like, what are we going to do? All right, well, let's try to figure those two out and we'll make less clouds this time. And we don't have clips. Okay, so let's try to figure this out. And you're constantly just improvising ways to fix it until you get to a point where someone else is fixing the problems for you, almost. So with Nina Sky, that was like one of the things where it was a huge moment for us, but it was also a giant learning and growing pain afterwards. Yeah. Because we did not know, like, until like literally 24 to 48 hours, we thought, like, how are we going to do it? It was 10 days worth of promo that we put into it. And even within those 10 days, we didn't even know they were coming within 48 hours.
Yeah, and honestly, we didn't even know if tickets were going to sell. I mean, they sold like crazy. I mean, it's typical show stuff, but the day of and the day before is when they really started selling. Like up to that point, we just didn't know either. Like I feel like we're becoming like jacks of all trades. You know what I mean? Where it's like we're being forced to learn like, okay, how do I manage a bar now, or how do I manage like a bottle service?
Did not know any of that.
Like my whole focus is just like, oh, I'm just gonna DJ, you know, do my stuff, and that's it. It's like no, like I feel like we almost have more responsibilities than like the venue itself.
Yeah, because a lot of people going into it, I think they expect that a lot of things are already set up. The design was all done in-house. The setup was all done in-house. Yeah. The music choreograph, all that stuff was done all in-house. I mean, not choreographing the girls dancing, but they've done their own things. But a lot of this stuff, even down to the way the drinks are priced, are all through us. A majority of them, you know, like, you know, what kind of bottles we've figured out, you know, people are not drinking these. Let's tailor to the audience that we're bringing in, and you know, what kind of music is working, even though it's a reggaeton night, it's what year is good for this crowd right now. And then we started noticing it was a younger crowd, then turning into an older crowd. And then and then you get a mix, and then you get a blend, and you're trying to figure it out. So I think it's a huge learning curve, especially with the pop-up. Because I personally don't see that around here with those pop-ups.
No.
It's a lot of work, but it's like almost very fun. Because every time I look, I'm wondering like, when is one of these clouds gonna fall and hit somebody, and it's gonna be a epic failure. But it still hasn't done it. It's still
or one cloud falls and they all fall because it's all on one line.
Yeah.
So if one was to go down, then literally all of them would fall. It'd be crazy.
Yeah, and we've had like little hiccups here and there. I fell like coming down. I fell horribly, like on in the back area, and I could just see I'm sliding down, and I could just see through the crack people having a good time, and I'm just sitting there like in pity, like oh, this is not worth it, and then smack myself in there, and then even just learning. It was a
Yeah.
huge growing step for us. Learning to pop up, learning tributes, learning what blends well with everything.
Yeah. And it's just definitely gonna help each next thing that we do. It's like, okay, we can take even with every La Bomba night, we've been changing things up too, where like it's just always an opportunity to know this is gonna help for better the next one and the next one to follow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also that's like kind of what works with you putting yourself in a completely uncomfortable position.
Yeah. And also too gives I think as a audience that goes to the event and gets to see it, I think it's cool to be very transparent when we try different things and we show that it doesn't work, or hey, we're trying to make things better. We took some feedback. It allows them to let it allows us to let them know that we care about what's happening. You know what I mean? That we're not trying to make it very transactional, or we're not doing these events just to like be these cool promoters and try to just be money hungry about it. Like we actually want to put something together dope for the city, and so for them to like see like, oh, at least they're going back to the drawing board and trying to make it better. I think that's hopefully resonating well with people and just having more of a sense of appreciation. Because I know me as an audience member or someone going, it'd be like, at least I know they're trying to make it
Yeah.
better.
Like especially like even with the people that compliment me on the clouds, that is a huge compliment
Yeah,
because people will see me and they look like I'm not having fun because I'm just standing there like always looking like what's happening, what's happening. And then when people are like, oh, it looks really nice, like came out good, it's a huge thing because it was something where you didn't come to me and say, I just want to do a dance night.
right,
Like I want to legit have a pop up.
right,
And what are we going to do to make a pop up? Not like, let's just get people for mini bashes. That's it.
right.
I want people to come here and they don't have a dance nightclub. They don't have people place where they can sit and enjoy a drink, go to the dance floor when they want to.
My whole thing too was to make it feel, and not to say Joliet's a bad city or something like that, but we're just so comfortable and familiar with Joliet. I wanted to create a feeling that didn't make it feel like you were in Joliet.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
And then with that, it was, I think what happened with, okay, so let's going back to this, like the everything was caught from something else. Like a lot of people have this misconception that something has to be original. Nothing's really original. You're just modifying ideas that were already premeditated from past things, even creating wise.
yeah,
So that the clouds, I noticed something on someone's Instagram, and I will literally interact with people on my Instagram. That's one thing I can kind of give people, especially if they're trying to build their brand and they don't have a strong personality or they don't have like this confidence. Just interact. Like there's
yeah,
a shield in your phone that if they say like they just ghost you, okay, cool, like whatever. And I'm so used to that where in person I'd be so awkward or kind of uncomfortable to come up to somebody and shake their hand.
yeah,
But on Instagram I could just, if they have a poll, I'll just answer the poll.
yeah,
Or if they have something, I'll say that looks cool, where's that from?
yeah,
They ghost me, okay, cool. But at the same time, somebody may have followed me randomly through like the La Bamba or whatever it may be, and I'll ask them something. I'll interact with them, or if they are their artists, I'll be like, "That's really cool. How can I get some of this?" Or how whatever
yeah,
it may be. So someone was at a certain place that had like a cloud wall, and I was like, "That would be really cool." And then I remember us having coffee, and you were like, "What kind of themes we can have?" I was like, "Well, how about like a cloud?" And you were like, And then we started looking up buying these clouds that you can get offline, and I was like, I think I can make it. And then you were like, I don't think I think we should try to just buy. And I was like, no, like let's try, let's literally, like I think we can. And you had so much confidence after that. We were like, okay, I think he really believes that we can really do this. And then slowly I remember us trying to put them together, gluing them, like really arts and
yeah,
craft type thing. The skirts on the tables, that was from the company that you work with too for
yeah,
weddings and that, like those are beautiful lavish weddings, and that was just something where I was like, oh, that's perfect to completely change the atmosphere that you're at the forge.
yeah,
Like it's almost giving them a new light too as well.
yeah,
um And I'm literally looking and liking people's pictures and not afraid of looking thirsty, not afraid of looking um, awkward or weird,
Right.
because just brush it off, just interact. And
If anything, I think it's a more reflection on them. At least you tried to like interact. I think my whole point too is like I'm not trying to be a ghost follower anymore myself. It's like how self-centered is it for me to only put out content but not interact with other people's too, even if they're not a creative or they're an artist. It's
yeah,
not hard to like if someone throws up a picture of them working out and be like, hey bro, like at least give them words of encouragement or
yeah,
like just positivity, you know what I mean, instead of
genuinely, like
yeah,
if it's
genuinely. Like it can't be fake. You gotta actually like say, hey, I like your dope shoes. Actually like the shoes. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it has to be 100% behind what you're saying too as well. Like
Yeah,
some people um graduated, I had no idea who they are, but I'm like, congrats.
yeah,
And they probably look at like, who is this person that I don't know but I happen to follow because of this? They're saying congratulations.
yeah,
And sure enough, they like it, and then all of a sudden I'll notice some, and a majority now, more and more, will start interacting with my page and liking things or saying like, hey, when I do my time lapse, that's another way of people doing like, for me, showing the process of what we're going through to put up these events. And then people see it in a very fast and short and compact because of the attention spans, and them saying, this is dope. They may not put it in a comment, but they'll direct message me saying, that was actually really cool.
yeah,
That's really dope. Like, or, you know what, you should do this. Or I have buddies that are literally trying to do a podcast. We're still learning this.
yeah,
We are literally still learning this. And I will try to give them as much information on the fails or achievements that we have absorbed
right,
and say, okay, these are things you can do, or these are things you shouldn't do, or this is what I found success in, but you are doing a different type of podcast. You may find success in the thing that I failed in,
right,
whatever it may be. So it's just constantly just putting yourself in a conversation organically and not like, not necessarily uninvited, I guess.
yeah,
And I think that makes it so much better.
yeah,
There's a lot of people that probably come to events and they are feeling more warm to the room because they feel like these people actually care about how my night's going,
yeah,
which is a huge thing.
yeah,
Like it's even shocking when people are leaving and will say like, how was your night? And they're like, who is this? And they'll be like, these are the guys that are running the show, and they're asking how our night was when we're leaving, and
yeah,
it's great. I think that this could, like, why don't you guys try to do this? Okay, cool. And then we actually do adjustments for that,
right,
and we try. And if it doesn't work, they at least will see. And it's just the one person out of 300 people they show, cool. But those one individual reactions will trigger for people to say, when they talk about our brand, they'll say, you know what, they actually do care when we go, like, how are we doing that night? Like, I
yeah,
feel like they're playing music for me. I feel like they set this table up for me.
right,
They made these drinks for our group. They're tailoring the night so that I can have a good time,
right.
rather than I'm just a fish in a giant pond, like just swimming, trying to get, some sort of appreciation.
Yeah, I think also because we're not at that big like level yet, that it's gonna prepare us for a better mindset when we step into those shoes and we have that much control. It's like we're gonna be more on the detail side of it rather than we're putting together this big dope party with either a headliner or a dope, whatever the case may be. It's like we're gonna have more finer detail in the genuine experience rather than like here's a stage and some music. Like
Yeah.
even though that's like mostly what brings people out, but I think we're gonna it might just set us apart, these like growing pains of actually having more care to it as like the audience member, and then just portraying that.
Yeah. I think one of the a main thing that should be focused is the appreciation of the people that are in your group.
Yeah,
Like, it's just us, really. I mean, there's Ulysses too as well.
yeah. Ulysses is off camera, but he's
Yeah.
behind doing
He's
some editing.
Yeah, he's doing some editing.
Yeah,
But even the people that help us promote, like with the Nina Sky thing, they didn't necessarily like. I made it a point to try to make sure that they were being taken care of too as well, because they helped us, and we're
yeah,
not in a position to just provide them with all of these things.
yeah,
but to say like, look, we really appreciate what you're helping us do. Like we see the growth from that. So appreciate those things. Even when we did the meet and greet for Nina Sky, there were some people that I know that have come to like several events that may have not been able to afford that meet and greet. And out of, our own, kind of determination to make sure that they show, or that we show that we appreciate them. I walked up to them, never really introduced myself before, and said, hey, you've come to a lot of our events, right? Yeah, cool. Would you like to meet them? Really? Like that? And they get shocked, and you're like, yeah, I would like for you to go stand in line and go ahead and meet them.
Yeah.
And that changes. It may be something that some shrug off or whatever it may be, but it's that moment where you kind of touch base and say, I recognize
Yeah.
what you're kind of doing for us.
Right.
It's not like it's always about what am I doing for you? It's like I recognize what you guys, everyone that's involved is doing for us.
Right.
Like you are essentially a part of a team that you may not even know that you're associated with.
Yeah.
And that's 100%, I think, is a big rule maybe of your success in a brand, is that there's people that show to your event that they may not be a part of your promotion team. They may not be a part of your graphic design team. They may not be a part of anything other than that, but just a fan. Sometimes those individuals have way more to offer to you than people that legit are expressing how much they have to offer you.
Yes.
Because they are there all the time. And as an individual there, they control more power at your event than anything else that you could incorporate into it.
Right.
Like forcefully or through payment or through like a lot of these things. Yeah. There's a lot of people that have these events and have these companies or whatever it may be. And it's not undeserving, but some of them are gifted with a lot of things. Some have a giant source of income that can just be dispersed over like, I want to design something and here's all the money you need for it.
Yeah.
It may not be as appreciated as when you're like, we can't afford to buy all these clouds, let's make them ourselves.
Yeah, I think that's what's really cool. Even in our story, I feel like we're the creators, we're the artists, we're the investors, we're the negotiators. Like we're everything. So where it's like we're not even given that privilege and a say to like, here, go figure something out. Here's some capital. You know what I mean? Like we're having to do it all, figure it out with our own capital, perform on our own time, come up with the sets, come up with the visuals. Like there's no like really any discrepancy of that. So I think that's kind of like it's very humbling in a way. You know what I mean? Because if this was all just like, if I had some third partner or someone that was a huge investor like over my shoulder, I think I wouldn't appreciate it as much as I do now. Even when we have our failures or something like that, I just have grown to an appreciation rather than like just feeling down about it or like that sucked, or I could just not care anymore and be like, oh, well, I'll just stop trying, then I'll just like stick to my DJing and just showing up to just play songs. And now that it's almost like a challenge now that we've placed upon ourselves. It's like we got no one else, so it's like let's see how far we can actually take it ourselves.
Yeah. I think even going back to that giant like investment or investor or whatever it may be, or someone that is funding in any realm. If you're an artist, like a rapper or a hip hop artist or a singer, that someone's investing in your stuff, or you have a restaurant or a business or whatever like that, sometimes that will put you in a position where if you have that, you have this mentality of like a plan B, or I can always bounce back.
Right.
And when you don't have that in your head, you can't have doubt, or you can't have a sense of like, you have to literally say, because there's plenty of positions and total transparency and being honest, there's plenty of stuff that we put ourselves in that it was almost like, if we don't succeed in some sort of fashion with this venture, we will never be able to bounce back from that.
Yeah. Like
it will literally put us in a position where we will be out for, if not forever, a very long time.
Right.
To recuperate.
Right.
Nina Sky is one thing, La Bomba is another thing. Like a lot of people have this misconception of like, I'm going to just do events. I'm just going to do music. And yeah, you get some viral sensations for certain things, but you can't always expect that. Or when that does happen, you have to be prepared once again, prepared to value how much you have in front of you.
Yeah.
And that's a huge asset to have, is that
Yeah.
humble, like you said, that humbling experience of like, I'm not where I need to be, but when I get there, I'm gonna appreciate a lot more and still be able to interact with people on a very genuine basis, an organic basis, because of the fact that I've already developed that at the earlier stages.
Yeah, and what's really cool too, even when like I'm going up to, so before I go up to DJ, it's like we're doing all the planning, we're doing the running of the event itself, and it's a lot of pressure. But then almost right before when I go on to DJ, like I get it flips from being like pressured to like a sense of being like appreciation now again. Because even like let's say like moments before, I'm stressing out that there's like not enough people here, or are we gonna take a loss on our expenses for the night, for example. But then when I go out to DJ, it's kind of like, yo, man, like everyone in this room took time out to be here tonight. Like I'm appreciative. I'm gonna like do all I can in this
Yeah.
next set. You know what I mean? So it's like a turn of the switch too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To where it's like I switch from being pressured to like, okay, at least this is what I have in front of me, and I'm gonna give them my all because like these people took time out of their life to be here tonight, and like that's so dope to me.
Yeah. And it's always that thing where we're setting up. It's always that conversation I had with you where you're always, I have a good feeling about this.
Yeah,
We could have
that's
just
my
came.
that's my DJ side talking though. Like I have
Yes.
a good feeling about this because it's like I'm gonna have a good dope set, but then there's the other part of me where it's like I'm so fucking stressed out right now. You know?
But it's always that conversation of like, I have a good feeling about this, and the that's a very like we balance out in that sense. And this is kind of where you want to have people around you that have like a good valued core or things that maybe you don't possess that they're going to contribute, and then the other way around too as well. Because there's a lot of things where I developed a very realistic approach, and it seems kind of like maybe negative at times, but it's almost like I have to. There's a approach to this
Yeah.
where I have to understand like I cannot physically do those things,
Yeah.
and I have to find a way to do it within a feasible manner or a very like logical approach
And patterns. I mean,
and
you're reading
and,
patterns.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, how does that work? And then you come with a more optimistic approach, and it's like, yo, I have a really good feeling about this, and I'm like, man, I know you had that last feeling last time. We might have, something didn't work out that great last time, and then sometimes it's the same thing where I like have to like I'll see you in this mood of like everything is gonna be okay and we're gonna get through it, and then I sit there and I'm like, okay, I gotta reset myself.
Yeah.
I have to reset myself because there's pieces around me that want to see me succeed as much as they want to see themselves succeed.
Right.
So if you have those pieces around you, another thing to have in order for you to be at least successful in my mind is to have these people around you where you may fall short on certain personality traits or whatever it may be, or mindsets that they have.
Yeah.
And if you have that good chemistry, they're building you up. They're giving you those blocks from their own building and saying like, look, I have so much of this. Let's try to build you to be that. Because honestly, like DJing is a crazy thing. You have to legitimately read a crowd in seconds.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
It's not like, yo, I have like 100 hot songs, I'm just going to play them.
Yeah.
No, because that crowd may not like it.
Yeah.
And I've seen you plenty of times play songs where it's like from the 70s.
Yeah.
And people just vibe, and they were just vibing to, Check West, or whatever, like random songs that it's like, how did that blend? Because you've put yourself in a position to know that. And although I don't know how to DJ, those traits of being able to act on impulse and being confident in it, I translate that to something else.
Yeah.
And you're just constantly taking those blocks from people around you and saying, okay, I'm going to build my own little wall of defense, or wall of like a strong personality or interior core, of like how to really focus on things in a better pattern or whatever it may be.
I try to practice a lot of like, even when I'm DJing, I got a lot of things going on. I still try to take the time to pause and try to almost look at everyone in the eye when I can. So to let them know
And
that
it's usually me.
yeah, either you, but like say if I have like, I'm in a room of 50 people or so, or I got a 100 people crowd in front of me, something that's like more manageable that I can, when one, that's like a group that when one circle of it is having fun, they kind of feed off each other and the whole room is having fun because it's so small and it's more intimate.
Yeah.
So I try to like at least look everyone in the eye, let them know that I'm more like connected, You know what I mean? Like that I care about what you're listening to right now, and I'm not just like looking at my laptop the whole night, or I'm not just, being focused on my decks, because whatever I'm playing, I could be having a dope set and be super technical and going crazy with it. But if the people in front of me and I'm not taking the time to look at them and connect, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just cool to me then, which there's a time and place for that. If I'm doing a stage show, yeah, awesome. But if I'm doing something where it's a club setting and, I'm creating the experience for them more so them trying to come out and see me, I got to focus on their emotion at that time. And it's a lot of it's just body language, just letting I just try to, even if I'm having a bad day that day or whatever's happening, just try to hone in and be like, that's not, it's almost like, when you have bad customer service
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, well, it's not my fault they're having a bad day. It's like, it's the same thing in this situation where I have to be like, it's not, if I had a bad day that day going on or whatever, it's like I got to let that go and just like dance around. I got to have fun because they deserve better. You know what I mean? It's not their fault that something happened to me or whatever. You know what I mean? I can't necessarily express that or show that. I got to focus in on them.
Yeah, there's this kind of key trait of having the ability to let things go that really you're allowing somebody more influence on your mood and day.
Yeah.
Like there'll be some times where I'll see somebody that just cuts me off. We've had that experience plenty of times, like on the way from Chicago to
It's like
Joliet.
2 times today.
Yeah, 2 times today, where somebody would cut you off, and there'll be a lot of times where you'll be like, "Man, I hope like somebody just pulls them over, give them a ticket, ruin their day." But then like that person does not care one bit about what I just talked about.
Right.
They are on the road to something else. They don't.
Right.
They have no care. They didn't have a care when they did whatever they did.
Right.
And you're dwelling and overwhelming yourself, and you're a person like you're just ruining it. Like when you even on a 9 to 5 thing, like when you clock in for work and you already have this personality where you're just waiting for one person to do something so you can just say I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
You're just literally waiting for one person to do something where you're like, I fucking hate this job.
Yeah.
I fucking hate this job. Or
And
whatever.
then you'll be like, see, that's why I hate this job.
That's why I hate this.
Yeah.
That's why I need to find a new one. But no matter what, you are an individual going to another place, and it's like bad relationships. It's like the same thing. You're constantly blaming someone else for your inability to just say like, I just need to let this go.
Yeah.
I just need to let a bad event go because I'm going to have a good one coming soon.
Right.
Or a bad venture go because there are going to be more. Look at the track record of a lot of successful people. They all start with several dozens of failures that lost them tons of money. And even the successful ones, they lost tons of money for years before it even kicked off.
Yeah,
Not
before they even
everything's
started making
viral.
profit. Yeah.
Not everything's viral. We're living in a viral era where we think everything is going to be immediate, almost like we have to make every post and everything count to be viral. But sometimes people just post and it just becomes something.
Yeah.
You can't always count on that. You have to understand, I got to let it go. Just let it be, do whatever it be. Because that person, like I said, cuts you off or does something and are bad customer service, and you are still talking about it to someone else and infecting their day.
Yeah.
Because you can't let it go.
Yeah, and I think that branches just how it's funny that you're talking about being viral. I think it's more so because we understand that we don't have that viral pool on our side, to where we have to play the longer game of being more focused on brand and personal relationships with people, because we don't have anything viral right now that's setting us apart or that's giving us a kickstart up. So it's like it's like as quick as they are is as quick as they go type idea. You know what I mean? So where something is viral, if they didn't build like a brand along the way or actually did something with it while they had that hot second, then it goes just as fast as it came.
Well, we've talked about that with certain artists too as well, where we see them having a great song. Old Town Road is like a perfect
Like
example.
Lil Nas X, he's killing it right.
Perfect,
But he's
you
creating longevity for
You made a
himself.
perfect example when we were sitting there having a conversation about it, where it's like, oh, this is the same song. I'm hearing it a lot, but why is it still continuing to tread? Is because you said he has such a influence on his social media. He interacts like so well, where all of his tweets become something because he's built that.
Yeah.
He is that before the song was even created.
Yeah.
So you're building your own, like I said, your own pieces, your own stuff, so that when you do have that success, it's like I already have the groundwork. I already
Right.
know what I need to do. Like I'm a personality prior to the influence.
Right.
I am a personality prior to influencing people to buy this or do that or whatever. Like they are there because of who I am prior to the sales pitch.
Yeah.
All that. It is, yeah. So you have to kind of be able to do those things, and that's another thing. Just let things go. You can't just continue to dwell on things. Like you have a bad track record right now, it's going to change. Everything will eventually change. You're going to either learn from it or you're just going to continue to drive insanity.
Yeah. So these last 2 years were definitely a lot of learning.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
A year in general of just like constantly growing pains. And you learn. 100%.
I think it's gonna show too, especially with some of the events that we got coming up. Even a lot in like promo work. I mean, there's some things that we knew was gonna work and what didn't, and we were like, no, let's hold off on before we actually put that out, because now we're more so we're kind of creating a standard for ourselves now. The more that we get better, it's like the standard kind of keeps rising too, so we kind of have to keep matching that.
Yeah. Prime example I can give people in the attempts to be transparent is that with like the first launch of La Bomba, there was so much of our funds and our overhead going into promotion,
Yeah.
paid promotion
Yep.
on social media. If you don't know how to assess it, attack the insights, look at these things, don't throw money into a pit,
Right.
because you're just thinking that it's going to do it for you, and you're automatically falling into the mindset that it is going to do it for you.
This is
It's
not the
not going
case.
to. Then we've had nights where we didn't put anything really into it,
A
and
better.
and a totally good turnout.
Yeah.
Or like with La Bamba, we've had people that once again have become part of our promo team and help us push, and they are like, if without a doubt in my mind, 100%, a huge influence on how successful they've. And a lot of the people that we've reached out to are not individuals that will try to throw it back into your face. They are constantly individuals where they have the same mindset. They may not be wanting to be involved in the overall picture of it, but they just see what you're doing and they want to be kind of like, they just want to help.
Right.
They were just attendees that were like, I just like this
Yeah.
and I want you guys to continue to do this.
Yeah.
And that's what it is like, you can sit there and think that because someone else had that formula, it's going to work. But if you do not know how to steer the ship, you will crash it immediately
Yeah.
because you paid for a very nice ship
Yeah.
and you don't know how to drive it.
Right.
And sure enough, we've learned from that. First 2 weeks, it was just hoping that it would stick. And it was good, but it wasn't, we were like, that didn't really translate well.
No.
How did that, like, that didn't make sense. And you have to know, like, okay, it's not gonna, that's like, you have to learn, and there's a bunch of things on how to do it. Like, you can't just say, like, I'm just gonna record. You have to learn what makes a good song. Like, certain things are always like, you have to learn.
Yeah.
And learn it from YouTube, learn it from whatever. There's so many resources where you don't have to go to school for it. You don't have to go to a library anymore. You can learn on YouTube on how to, promote your stuff and how to really assess insights and everything like that for events and for your stuff.
Yeah. That's a whole nother conversation too. I feel like there's so much information that's always readily available for us that we kind of just sometimes don't act on it.
Yeah. Or you just get overwhelmed. A
Yeah.
lot of stuff is overwhelming because you just sometimes it's pure laziness
Yeah.
and you're in denial of it. Sometimes it's naive and you're in denial of it. A lot of stuff, growth, the hinder your ability to growth is from your own denial of stuff, because you're too ashamed or something like that to tell
Yeah.
yourself that you're lazy.
Yeah.
I don't want to learn it. I
Yeah.
really just don't want to learn it. I want it to come natural. Some people are naturally gifted at certain things,
Yeah.
and some people have to bust their ass. And if you are the person that has to bust your ass, if you do not bust your ass, like, you're not going to get further.
Right.
And a lot of it can be expensive lessons if you don't do the due diligence to learn.
Yeah. I've been even like some Ulysses will tell you too. Like some of the nights when we do like the editing, I stay in the back corner. I just kind of just watch what he's doing because I'm just like fascinated with him learning it too, and just learning and being alongside him as he learns it.
Yeah.
Like even when he like first, like the first recap video he did, I could already see the change. I know he's sitting right across from me, so it's like kind of weird that I'm talking about him. But like from the first, it was like a very slow click. I think this works. And now when I watch him, it's like boom, 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 boom.
He learns it way better.
Yeah,
He learned it more. He's more aggressive in the way he learns things now too as well.
yeah.
And that's the thing too as well. Another thing that is like
Being around people that actually want to be there and do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
so a lot
most
of these
important.
a lot of these are I'm just going to tell you right now. A lot of these are going to be split into little segments of what we feel are growth, like the learning to let things go. Learning to use your resources. Another thing is not thinking that you have to know how to do everything in your group.
No, you know.
Like there is a person that is focused 100% on making media content.
Yeah,
Just focus on and investing in them and that thing.
yeah,
That's 100%. Like you cannot try to do every single thing. Like it just doesn't work. Like you want to own your own shop, cool. Work at someone else's first.
yeah,
Learn the growing pains of that, and then go open up your own shop. Because you want to own your own restaurant, but you never worked at a restaurant, but you just know how to cook at the house.
right.
It's gonna fail.
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily say it's gonna fail, but it most likely, in statistic wise, a ton of restaurants fail out of all the ones that get produced in a year. So your better chances is to once again make yourself prepared and work at someone else's or work for someone else in the meantime
Yeah,
and learn what they're doing.
yeah,
And this is how it is. You don't have to do everything in your own group. Like I don't have to learn how to DJ.
yeah,
I don't have to do nothing with sound.
yeah.
And people are like, "Well, you should know." No, I don't. I don't have
And
to.
even though like we're kind of pushed into this box of like we're the ones doing all the background work, there's gonna be a point, and I'm trying to work up to that point where I can just now focus on DJing. Like that's my whole point of it too, getting to that point. Even though I say that with a grain of salt because I do have a lot of fun in the negotiating process and the booking process. I think that's still fun to me because it's like I'm still playing a big role in like putting this all together. But eventually, I want to come to the point where we're just like clearing things off. Like, yes, let's do that. No, let's do that. We're saying yes and no to things because now we know where we're focusing on. Like, my focus will be on the show of it or on the DJing aspect of it. You know what I mean?
Well, you even talked about it too, where you don't want to have to go to the events that we're hosting and you're DJing.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to DJ.
Yeah.
You want to be able to actually just stay in the crowd
Yeah.
and talk to the crowd.
Yeah.
And not to say like, okay, well, for an hour and a half, 2 hours, I have to be up there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like I mean, fortunately, yes, I love what I'm doing, but I also like
To just be a spectator sometimes.
yeah, because there's sometimes where I say like, man, everybody's having fun, but it's not my role right now in this time to enjoy myself right now with the party sense of it.
Right.
I'm enjoying myself from like the achievement of it, but as the management, I'm not here to party.
Yeah.
I'm here to make sure that you're having a good time.
Yeah.
I'm not here to just goof off because then I'm going to say it wasn't successful because I'm goofing off. Like I don't even really drink at these events because of that. Like you would like to be able to say like, yeah, I would love to DJ, but it'd more be like, I want to just be able to do a surprise set sometimes.
Yeah.
I just want to kind of just show up real quick and do it, but we're in the crowd. We're not like we're just from home and we just let it, do what it has to do, but we're there and we're able to enjoy it with the crowd.
Yeah.
Like come celebrate with me this beautiful, beautiful night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are things that I would love for us to achieve, but people are slowly, with social media, people are seeing individuals grow from the seed. I think it's going to be cool to see in a few years, like, wow, they did the Taste of Joliet. They did.
That was something we didn't even talk about. That's like a whole
No.
episode in its
That's
own.
a whole episode of how that even came about. But that's what I'm saying is like we'll cut these segments up.
Yeah.
And there'll be like a 1-minute video of how we feel individuals can assess changing the ability to let something go. or whatever it is, because why not?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the taste was a completely different experience, where that was another thing where it was all last minute. A lot of it was last minute.
This whole summer's been
It
last
was
minute.
in here.
Yeah.
It was down here in this basement.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say let's take a little break. Let's see what we got, and then we'll go from there.
Perfect.
All right.